Radio Rahim here with Jake Paul. This is a family affair. It has been from the very beginning. But as many fights as I've covered with you, and as long as we've been on this journey, this is the first time I've ever had a chance to talk to your father, who's like clearly very invested. Talk to me about his involvement in your career and this fight in particular.
Yeah, look, I mean, just like any father would be, in a professional boxer, career, that made no sense. No, like what I was trying to say is like my dad is super invested because I'm fighting. And if your son is in the ring risking his life and fighting, they're going to be super invested. And he's very supportive, very encouraging. And, he knows how serious his business is, but he's very proud. We grew up fight fans watching fights on Saturday nights. And so he's always been in this game, basically, he's always loved it. And it's a dream come true for him, for me to be fighting on the biggest stages.
Your moniker is Problem Child. And you've talked about the challenges you've had becoming a man and figuring out what works for you and what's good for you. How does it feel now to have reached a point where you're selling out arenas in your hometown, your father's on the road with you, just that journey from Problem Child to main event?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, man. And, I just want to thank my team and my friends and my family because we've been through a lot of adversity, hard moments, but everyone's fought through. When there wasn't any light at the end of the tunnel, we just kept going, and everyone just kept on a good head on their shoulders, and things turned out, to be great. And it doesn't always happen that way, but I'm putting in the work all the time, and I'm so excited to finally have gotten to this place where I feel comfortable, where I know who I am, where a lot of the mistakes I made as a young kid are out of the way, and now there's so much momentum, and it's a snowball effect, and no one can really stop me besides myself.
Now, when you were up there with your new trainer, he mentioned you guys looking for opponents, and what perked my ear up was Logan's name came up. Yeah. What are you, just trolling us? What is this about?
Yeah, I think we're just having some fun. People always want to see the Jake Paul versus Logan Paul fight. Who knows if it happens one day? Obviously, I think it'd be massive. The Klitschko's never fought. The Charlos haven't fought. But maybe the Paulos will fight.
Well, let me answer that question for you, because when I was talking to Logan about it, your father was just off camera, and to quote him, there's no fucking way. he's never letting that happen.
Yeah, he doesn't want it to happen at all. He's like, absolutely not. You guys are never fighting. No. But that's part of what makes it fun. Is like I'm always a rebel, so kind of want to go against what people are telling us to do.
Is there a healthy rivalry between the two of you? Obviously, he's fought Floyd Mayweather, and there's talk of him fighting Mike Tyson. You're now in your fourth fight. How much is there a healthy rivalry between the two, and how do you describe his boxing career versus yours?
Yeah, I feel like there's a healthy rivalry in everything we've always pushed each other since we were kids. It's always been sort of that back and forth competitive battle, which has only made us both better. I think we're each other's biggest competitors because who else is doing what we're doing? There's really nobody to look to. But I would describe his, boxing career as something he does for entertainment and for fun and because he loves it. Mine is a lot more serious, and I want to become a world champion 10-0 and retire undefeated. He started his career off with a loss, so it's a little bit hard to come back from that. But he's still a great fighter, and he still sells tons of pay-per-views. So he's got a bright future in the sport, as crazy as it is.
Now, when you first said that you want to be a world champion, that you're taking this game seriously, people laughed at you. They scoffed. Oh, this guy, he's not serious. He's not fighting real boxers. This is only your fourth fight, and you are fighting a real boxer this time. Yep. What is the difference to you between your first three fights and how you have to prepare for a challenge of this magnitude?
There's really no difference. We're definitely pushing harder with each camp. We're learning more about me as a fighter and what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what areas we need to, tighten up on. But there's really no difference. I've treated all my opponents with the same level of respect. I go in there like I'm fighting Godzilla. And, that's why I've been successful, is because I've been prepared for the absolute hardest thing that any of my opponents throw at me. And I'm sparring people that are better than Tommy. So on the night, it's going to be a breeze.
It begs the question, why Tommy Fury? I mean, you could pick a host of people who have name recognition, who could sell as many tickets. This is a real fight. Like, this guy is 10 fights in, undefeated. He's a career boxer. Why put yourself in this kind of harm's way?
High risk, high reward. And what I've done so far is give the people exactly what they've wanted. And what they want now is fight a real boxer. That's been the biggest thing that you see everyone criticize. Oh, you beat Tyron, blah, 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 whatever, but fight a real boxer. Okay, sure, will do. I will fight a real boxer who is undefeated, who is my age, who is my height, who is my weight, who comes from a legendary bloodline of fighters. And after that, no one will have any excuses left. And that's why I love it.
Now, I've characterized your career as a prize fighter. You have these big stages, these huge purses, all this attention. No real career fighter would have this much money and this much attention at this stage of his career. But to be fair to you, also, no fighter on a trajectory of a good promotion that is a career plotted out for him would be taking on a 7-0 fighter at this stage of his career. 8 rounds nonetheless. Do you feel like this is a fight to give you legitimacy, not just with the fans, but internally, that this is a serious thing?
Yeah, no, for sure. A lot of this is, testing myself, and I love a challenge. In training camp, I want to be motivated. I want to know that there's another dog out there who's trying to take everything that I have and strip everything away from me. And I love that motivation, and I love that sort of drive that's needed to conquer these types of opponents. And no one's done what I'm doing in this sport. And that's why in my 5th fight, I'm going up against a very tough opponent. Most people wait until they're 20-0. They're fighting journeymen along their way. They're building up their record. They're padding the record. I'm going into the deepest part of the sport in my 5th fight.
Up here today and on Twitter, we've seen you go back and forth with Dana White. We've seen you go back and forth with a multitude of boxers and MMA fighters. You are definitely on everybody's mind, and a lot of people just can't stand that you're in combat sports and have this kind of success. What is your feeling towards the sport of boxing and MMA? Is this just to hype the fight, or is there like some serious deep-seated resentment for these guys?
Nah, there's no resentment. I'm not mad at all. I have no reason to be mad. I'm having a great time. I'm just letting the cookie crumble and watching it all happen. But people are mad. They're jealous. They don't think I deserve to be in this position. And, I understand where they're coming from. I came in and really took over boxing and MMA, which is kind of crazy. Like, people say, oh, he shouldn't be in combat sports. He shouldn't be in combat sports. I am combat sports. Like, there was really nothing exciting going on without me in here. Like, I'm sorry, but there's some things that are cool, but really realistically, what I brought the sport back.
You realize that those are the kind of comments that are going to make people's heads explode.
Good.
We're a few hours away from Canelo taking the stage, pay-per-view fight, obviously, against Caleb Plant. He was on your hit list, which also made quite a bit of noise, the hit list you put together. How serious are you about the names on that list?
I'm dead serious, Time is my only enemy. As fast as we can get these deals done with everyone on that list, I will fight all of them, whenever, wherever, and very serious about fighting Canelo. He's been asked about the fight publicly and hasn't denied it. I think it's a couple fights down the line, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm not just training in the gym every day to just, mess around in this sport. I'm here to make a statement, to create some of the biggest fights ever, and then to get out.
You consider Canelo to be your number 1 pound for pound in boxing?
He's up there. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the guy. He's obviously great. He works hard. I think in a different life, we probably would have been friends. But unfortunately, it's just too good of a matchup for us not to fight.
Now, we started talking about this brothers and this family situation. I can't imagine how no one has said this before. Why are we not looking at the Furies versus the Pauls? Why don't we have this is how this whole thing started in the first place. KSI's family versus the Pauls. Can you reach out to Tyson Fury and make this a super mega fight?
Oh man, I'm sure he would be down, but it's just not really fair. Like that guy's 260 pounds. Logan's like 190. But it sort of already has that family affair behind it, and there is already that beef. Apparently Tyson is coming into Tommy's corner to help him train for the fight. So, he's sort of already looped into this, and I think it's going to be a mega fight regardless.
Yeah, I can't help but remember that's kind of how this whole thing started with KSI and then Deji, and KSI helping Deji get prepared for you. And this is how this whole kind of phenomenon started with you in boxing. So when you pick a Fury, is it not just to box a boxer, but to beat a Fury?
I mean, for sure. I want to take their boxing legacy 100%. That's the beauty of it. And really, I'm using Tyson Fury to promote this fight. That's the secret behind all of this. Like, he's getting involved. He's using his platform. He's retweeting. He's posting it. He's going to be asked about it in interviews. He's selling the fight for me. It's, Tommy Fury is just a pawn on the chessboard, and I'm taking him out December 18th.
Would you ever imagine a world when you and Dana White might work together on a promotion since all these MMA fighters want to fight you?
I think it has to happen. I think the fight with Conor is still very relevant and very real. Kamaru Usman has called me out. I said I'm down to fight him. So, with each fight and as every day goes on, Jake Paul fighting a UFC champion or someone like a Conor McGregor becomes more and more real, and Dana is going to have no choice but to make it happen just because it makes too much business sense. He likes to make money.
Usman's fighting tonight. How do you see that fight going, and what do you think of him as a fighter?
I respect him. I think he's very skilled. He's a real champion. He's one of the pound-for-pound best. No problem. Coming to the boxing ring, you're going to get smoked. He beats Covington tonight, though, is my guess. And that just continues to build up a fight between us potentially one day.
And lastly, you're not only making your name as a boxer or prize fighter, you're making your name as a promoter. You're elevating career boxers on your undercard, namely Amanda Serrano. Everybody knows that women's boxing needs a push. Mm-hmm. What is the next phase from you as a promoter for a fighter like Serrano?
Man, continue to make her into the superstar that she is. She deserves a bigger platform. She deserves higher paydays, and that's exactly what we're doing at Most Valuable Promotions. Sorry, I can't speak today. But we're planning the biggest women's boxing event in 2022, Amanda Serrano and Most Valuable Promotions versus Katie Taylor and Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. And hopefully will be the biggest women's boxing event ever. But we have massive plans for Most Valuable Promotions. Just want to bring more eyeballs to the fighters that deserve it.
And lastly, I know how important hometown is to you. I know how important family is to you, but this image that you have can sometimes be taken as, well, he's a bad guy. This guy, he's an asshole. He's a troll. What is it that you would like for kids from Cleveland, kids from your community to understand about you and feel about Jake Paul?
Man, nothing you see on the internet is real. And you have to use your own judgment to discern, opinions and what's out there. And you have to look beyond the titles of articles and YouTube videos and actually dig in to see how somebody actually is. And unfortunately, we live in a society where, the clickbait and the cameras and the tweets that tear people down are what spread the fastest. Negativity spreads the fastest. So, there's a human behind, all of this. And with everyone, you don't know someone's story until you have probably known them for 5 years. So you can't judge me and I can't judge you.
Well, we're coming up on 5. I think it's almost been 4 since the first fight. And we'll see on December 18th just what kind of boxer you are, taking on Tommy Fury, who's 7-0, you being 4-0. That is a challenge. That's a legitimate fight, and I can't wait to see how it goes. Good luck, December 18th. Radio Rahim with Jake Paul.